Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we're back to watch SDF Macross, the OG Macross. Um, what do you got to say? You're the expert
Well, this
here.
is this is the first one. The way I was introduced to this was, and if you're a Macross fan or Macross, you're gonna dread the words that are gonna come out of my mouth. But I learned from this, like many Americans, people in the West, through Robotech, and it's called the Macross Saga. It wasn't years later until I watched stuff like Do You Remember Love and Macross Plus. Like, oh, there's the original, and then I got into that as well. No hate for the original. I actually love it a lot. And to be fair, and again, something people are going to hate probably in the comments, Robotech sticks particularly close to this series because the original intent was to just, bring it to American audience, translate it. But it does change some other things. There's some critiques about some voice actors and the singing and the like. So I understand. Whatever you think you're going to say about that, I already heard it a million times.
So what you're
You're about
saying
right.
is the takeaway for everyone in the audience is that Lessons loves Harmony Gold.
I guess I would say that in another reality. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Which, of course, now brings the people from Battletech to hate me as well.
I don't
But
know.
that's another story.
There's a lot of people who
Um,
also have copyright disputes who would also get into that
mhm,
fight.
yeah. One of the things about Macross is because of those disputes, a lot of the mecha here, as well as other mecha, was using BattleTech, and they're called the Unseen. Eventually, they will evolve to other things, and that was a legal dispute. And
Well, I
then, of
mean,
course, you have Robotech.
Isn't the VF1 Starscream from
Uh,
Transformers?
no, it's Jetfire.
I
Yeah,
thought
it's Jetfire.
Jetfire was Starscream. Anyway,
No, no. Jetfire is a Autobot. It's the first Autobot that is a plane that came out, and Starscream is F-15s.
look,
There were three
that
of them.
Secret Galaxy video is over 3 hours long. It's hard to remember everything.
Yeah. So basically, that's how I got into it. But then, retroactively, I got into back and I watched the series. Although I haven't really watched Macross in the original, except for a few bits here and there. But the ones I watch in the original. So in many ways, while I know most of it, I do see it from a foreign lens, and I get to see it now as it was meant to be. But it's kind of hard for me to get into this without actually hearing one of the best thing about the Robotech series, which is the instead for the singing, the actual background music they created for this, which is very different, right, from the original. I mean, the original is pretty good, but it's kind of hard. I will have to separate and filter out that music from my
It's
head
all
because I
words to
just
me. You're like, I
yeah,
feel like you're going to confirm, but you're more confirming with the audience than you are me. Because, one,
yeah,
I don't know the Robotech one. I've never watched
mm-hmm.
Robotech, so I'm clear on that angle.
Yeah,
And I haven't watched Macross, so I'm clear on that angle too.
yeah. Don't it's good to keep it separated. To be perfectly honest, right?
I think
There are better
when
series out there. Yeah,
I
their
think
Gundam is
when
much better. There's
Robotech would have
so
been coming out in the US with the Harmony Gold version, with the import and everything like that, would have been what, mid 90s, early 90s?
no 1985.
Oh, so like par for the time that Cross was coming out itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
Macross comes in 1983, 82, I think, and so it gets translated to 1985 by 1985 to be released in the states.
I don't know if I've ever said it in this watch through series. My very first touch with anime was mid 90s. TNT had a TNT is an American channel, by the way. Had a had a block at late night television called Monster Vision. If you're familiar with, say, Joe Bob Briggs and everything, that's where they got their start. And one of the blocks that they did was anime. So my very first experience was Galaxy Express 999. A
Yeah.
very, by the way, have to do a lot of search on this, and I even have a tab open to somewhere on the Wayback Machine that I might do a solo watch just to re-experience my first experience with anime over again with like no nostalgia goggles on or anything. Was a very American edit that incorporated one storyline edited to a movie version with very bad dubbing and everything. Like they even renamed characters to crazy names. So
Yeah, that's Captain Hard. I mean, that's the thing that during the time you
No,
had
he does.
Captain
He does show
Hardlock.
up. He does show up in that in a
Yeah,
like a cameo. But again, this is not the original Galaxy Express 999 movie,
no,
nor the actual American version of the movie. It was a one-time, very specific cut of the movie that was released for like less than a year, and it was very hard to track down. The one that I
yeah,
remember watching from again like 1994, 1995 TNT television broadcast.
yeah. I mean, there were. I mean, almost all the anime. And one curious point about it is that anime was also very big in the Americas, not only United States. United States kind of big, but really took off in Mexico and Argentina and other places. Also in Europe, it's in France. So you see a lot of that anime influence. And a lot of the shows originally were translated to Spanish in Puerto Rico, but eventually Mexican and Spanish based translation houses took over. They took over the business. But again, that's how you experience. So not only did I experience Robotech first, I experienced it in Spanish. So that was,
Well,
another layer of translation as well.
and it turns out most of our audience is not from America. Most of our audience here on the channel is from one Japan. Actually, it just recently switched over to our majority people watching are in Japan. The set number two, the Philippines. So I hope
Yeah.
they enjoy the Macross where we just watch. We're entirely in the Indies, but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, sorry, I'm just now trying to remember. Fail Fisher is one of our frequent commenters on a bunch of our shows. Was posting what's his name? Tamino, the guy who made Gundam, the one of the big robot shows that he made before Gundam that was it's super popular in the Philippines. So much so that they recently, and I say recently, like in the last 5 years, made a live action adaptation of it, which looks
Hmm.
so fucking amazing. I don't know how I'm not gonna watch it eventually, but I mean, it's kind of has this look of what if Power Rangers got a real budget, and I didn't watch the Power Rangers movie, so I have no fucking idea
Yeah.
about that. But I
Yeah.
watched the trailer for it in the native trailer, so I didn't get to hear any English. I have no idea what's going on, but it looks fucking insane. Are you aware of not Action Man? What is the European GI Joe called again?
European GI Joe. I don't. That
Literally, it's
doesn't ring a bell.
GI Joe, but they repackaged it in a different Action Squad. Is that what it's called?
Probably.
They like took all of the GI Joe characters and then remodeled them. So like Cobra Commander is just like some gunner guy, and you know they have different main characters, and they have like Lord, and I can't remember his name. He looks like Buckethead, the joke politician in
Mhm.
the UK. He has a floating base that looks like a TIE fighter mixed with a giant skull. If you could just
Nice.
imagine that, because it's whatever you're imagining is probably it. The bad guy from I can't remember Phil Fisher. If you're watching this, I apologize. The name of the show that's big in the Philippines. The bad guy's giant spaceship looks like that Lord whatever is from Action Squad or whatever it is. It's a TIE fighter mixed with a skull. Obviously, it's not as big as a TIE fighter. It's as big as like a city block or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here. We need to get back to Macross.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is an original. And eventually, when I went to college, I went to a little store that was comic books, and they rented a lot of anime. And that's when I started seeing more like the original, stuff from the 80s and early 90s. When it was like, oh, hey, this is the cyberpunk stuff. This is the tentacle stuff. This is the other stuff, right? And Macross was among others. I was like, oh, finally I get to see that. Especially Macross Plus was the one that was a big breakthrough. Like, oh, so this is what we're actually getting into, right? Which I missed in the past, right?
Yeah, the very first thing I remember I bought was I was at a mall and I bought the full series of Bastard, the original Bastard. Dark Schneider. Uh, but yeah, then I started working at Target and I started buying. By the way, rip Akira Toriyama. I started buying the individual VHS collections of Dragon Ball Z, where you could line them all up and have like the art for the arc. Uh, we keep going on tangents. I think we just need to get into the show.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a lot to say because I don't know anything that's going to happen other than eventually this whole overlay is going to get changed into a better one once the artist that I deal with, or not deal with, that I go to has a chance to get over this. But otherwise, I think we're both going with our representative characters that are underneath us. And I'm assuming your guy is from this show. I
Yes.
think due to my
Hikaru Ishio, if I pronouncing that correctly. From people who are in Japan, if I mispronounce any of the Japanese names, I apologize.
just take it for granted. But yeah, other than that, I think let's just go ahead and get into it. But before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment down below to feed that algorithm. On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut, as well as some early access stuff, you can check it out over on the Patreon. Just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure. It's all to support the channel, just a little bit extra. I'm assuming that's your boy.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly not Old Man Ryu. Not Ryu, what a Roy.
Poker.
Certainly a better song than the original opening for Gundam. But that's separated by what? 14 years? 15 years. I just always remember that the phonetic pronunciation of Japanese words tend to be 2 to 3 syllables. Or 2 to 3 letters apiece, so Macross. She looks very familiar. That captain. Looks like a Nemo from Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water. And,
yeah, the bridge bunny said there. No, yeah.
Battleship Yamato kind of bears a resemblance to him, too. Space Battleship Yamato, I mean.
Which I saw Stars Blazers, which I should go back and see the original as is.
I've never seen Space Battleship Yamato, by the way. I've just seen the pictures of him. Because he's every battleship captain from this era of anime. I'm assuming technically right now we're back in time from even Macross Zero.
Yeah.
And somewhere in a faraway land, Shin is watching a second sunrise.
1999年、突如宇宙より飛来した物体は全長1200メートルにも及ぶ巨大な宇宙戦艦であった。人類のテクノロジーをはるかに超えるその戦艦からは異星人の姿こそ発見できなかったものの、
Oh, I guess you were wrong.
地球外知的生命体の存在と
You said there might have been a lot of dead bodies on board.
ことは明らかだった。ここに国家間の利害を超えた地球統合政府の樹立と墜落した巨大戦艦の修復が開始された。統合政府の成立は決して容易な道ではなかった。激烈な局地戦が世界各地で繰り広げられたのである。しかしその間にも戦艦の修復は着々と進められた。やがて長く苦しい統合戦争も終わり、地球は平和を取り
So
戻
it's
し
two
た。
different wars.
そしてついに異星の墜落船は人類の手で巨大
No, I think the
戦艦
Bushwire Wars are the
マ
Unification Wars.
墜落から実に
Well, that's
10
just
年の
confusing.
月日が流れていた。
So 1 year after our last show. It's funny if you think about it. We're in like the Babylon 5 timeline where every new season it's just a year later.
Yeah.
The year was
I mean,
2007.
I think it's
our
also a
last
cool
Best Hope
idea.
repeats.
Such a cool idea that this was such a massive project that literally a city grew around the ship, right?
Well, yeah, you need to house your workers, then you need to supply food and shit for the housing, and then Captain Global. Sounds like a Captain Planet villain. And he already smiles more than Captain Nemo ever did. God, what does she look familiar from? Galaxy Express 999. She looks like the mother figure.
Yeah.
That's traveling with the kid from Galaxy Express 999. He moved on in a year. My God, man. We just saw her die.
Yeah. Check her last name and see if it's familiar to you.
I will when I do the board. That's like one of the reasons the board always comes in handy. I figure any crossovers across series will also help me with that. Why, are you gonna say it's Edward or whatever? Related to Edward? Whatever his name was, I'm always forgetting it.
Edgar.
At least the end of the show explained to me why I'm not gonna see shit anymore. Hey, we just saw these guys perform a year ago. I'll be honest, I would have been able to tell that was Roy just because he has the lines. The 5 o'clock shadow lines over his... I don't know what the difference is between senpai and senpai. Also, didn't you just call that a prop plane?
Yeah, but with the rocket assist, I think it has. So.
Well, there's no prop on it.
Yeah, it is in the back. See? It's a turboprop.
A prop is a propeller plane. I don't see any propeller on this thing.
Yeah, it's the big circle in the back. You don't see the...
I think that's called something else.
No, it's a propeller. Just that it's involved. It's in a... Well, ducted fan, if you want to be precise.
もう4回ほど付け加えていただけますか？
7回ぐらいで威張る
No
わ。
offense, but your favorite
俺なん
character is
か
a
東
cocky
方
little
戦争
shit.
で180キロ
Yeah.
撃墜したわい。
人殺し。
ば人殺しったってしょうがねえだろ。それが商売なんだからよ。
先輩は
Look, man, I saw some weird shit out there.
戦争が終わったらチームに戻るって。
君の親父さんにはすまないと思ってる。でもな、一度戦闘機に乗っちまうと、ま、お前も一度やってみりゃわかるさ。
Weird way to open a can, but also just a clarification.
先輩。
He's not Shin's son or something, right?
No.
Okay.
ダメ、買わないわよ。さっきジュース飲んだばかりでしょ。トイレが近くなるわよ。ダメ。ほら、もうこれだから。大変。
Yeah, Roy, we know what you're about.
ないな、こんなとこばっかり。
Also, she's a singer, isn't she?
Not yet.
I know I
She's just
recognize her from somewhere.
Yeah. She's 16, by the way.
Well, unfortunately, 1980s Japan, still legal. 2000s Japan, pedophilia. Let's keep that in mind.
この惑星が奴らのデフォルトを探知したのは
さようであります。
再フォールドした形跡は
Oh, my
2
guy.
度目の超空間跳躍は検出されておりません。
しかし8ターム前といえば奴らはこの聖域を撤退中だったはずだ。ただの脱落艦かもしれん。
否定はできませんな。
先導艦を出せ。
And now to keep track of 2 different time systems.
これがさっきの新型機。
ヒカル、こいつを飛ばしてみたくないか。
いいんですか？
俺が後ろに座ってやるよ。どうだ、お前の嫌いな戦闘機だぞ。
使う人間の問題ですよ。
ヘラがマクロス、いかに人々の福祉の向上に役に立ち、かつまた人類の発展に貢献したが、このマクロスが発信したグローバル艦長、宇宙空母アームドアンより入電。月軌道上に
What was he called in Robotech?
現象が探知されたということであります。
Captain? Captain Global, yeah.
Still Captain Global. Okay.
Yeah.
10年前と同じだな。
They
Yes.
changed the names of other characters, but not his.
というわけで、ここにマクロスのグローバル艦長をご紹介させていただく。おい、どこ行くんじゃ、艦長。艦長。
何よこれ、どうしたの？見て、修復前のシステムが勝手に動き出したの。大変だわ。
I guess if you're really on the ball, that's not a bad way to sit at a standing console. I would just be really worried about getting knocked over. It wouldn't be a 1980s anime without a mid-credit roll.
ダメ、全然効かない。
Yep. I'm losing a little bit of respect for our Captain Global. Well, I mean, I'm basing my thoughts about him on all the very serious captains. Did we just start the war?
Pretty much, yeah.
やはりこの惑星に隠れておったの
Oh, wait, never mind.
全艦に外れインファイトゾーンへ
Well, they know it was the Macross then.
I mean, they know the technology. They were
Yeah.
looking for the ship.
But he didn't indicate, like, oh, the humans fucking fired on us or something, you know?
No.
He seemed to indicate, oh, it was the thing.
Yeah.
艦内管制が制御可能になりました。
Surprised they didn't wipe out all the buildings, too.
Yeah.
今の派手な祝砲ですね。
まさか、ちょっと様子を見てくる。ヒカル、そこを動くな。
先輩、
I mean, at least they knew it could do that,
スター
though.
クラス南号です手法ビームが月軌道内28万キロ地点で宇宙船らしきものを撃破。さらに後続の宇宙船多数急速接近中。
This was Scooby-Doo, and the next second he'd tear off his face and reveal he was Old Man something or other.
ブービートラップだ。
ブービートラップ？
第二次世界大戦中ドイツ軍がよく使った手だ。撤退するときに目につきそうなもの、万年筆とか拳銃とかに爆薬をセットして置いて行き、それを拾うとドカーンだ。お方、この船を落としていった異星人が自動防衛システムのプログラムを仕掛けておいたのであろう。
艦長、ブリッジは禁煙です。ああ、もう。
わかっとるわい。
Damn me.
加えとるだけだ。全艦第1級戦闘配置。
Now the terror of living underneath something this big that can move.
Yeah.
Oh, so Sarah somehow was right. We do have space things. How did she know? Really upbeat music, though, for the first combat in the space war.
Yeah. In fact, this is called Space War 1.
It does fit human naming of worldwide events.
Nanda? 今の武器は
さあ、もしや
なんだ。
まさかそんなはずが。敵艦2隻接近。
I mean, think about it. If he was willing to write off the first attack, it's just the Macross because he knew about it.
飲み潰せ。
You fucking attacked us now! Now it's your fault.
どうやら観察軍の連中ではないらしいな。奴らの間を突破する。
Well, they're not showing us bodies floating through space. I know, we know they're there. They're just not showing it to us.
Also, they didn't explode, by the way, which is interesting.
Well, it seemed like the weapons were so precise, it's fucking Swiss cheese to the vessel. Good to know in Macross we didn't build our things like mobile suits in Gundam. Oh no, you stabbed the wrong place. Now the mobile suit explodes in a nuclear explosion.
了解。全艦発進。本艦は現在異星人と交戦中である。これは演習ではない。
But yeah, I mean, according to this, we started the war.
また戦争か。2年ぶりだぜ。
Even if you don't count the Macross firing as us, we attacked them first.
Yeah. He said it has been 2 years since he's been at war. So yeah.
I guess maybe he doesn't count the fighting last year. The difference between a skirmish and a war? I don't know.
なんだこの規律性のなさは。全くの未開種族だな。ん？やはり観察軍の船を拾ったか。
はて、私めの記憶にあのタイプはありませんが。
記憶にない。記録参謀のお前にか。
それにこの星の兵器とも似ているようで。
お前、まさか連中があの船を
修復したと考えられますな。
バカ！こんな未開種族が失われた技術を持っているなと信じられん。
事実です。さすれば先ほどのミサイルも可能性が出てきますな。幻の
本能兵器。
これは単純に殲滅するというわけには。
ジナール射出地点です。発射します。
I'm just gonna assume it's gonna get more explained later.
電磁気スポットの VT102 号機なぜ離陸しないの？
VT102 ってえ？
Is the conceit that he slept through the Macross firing as well?
Yeah.
離陸ったって滑走路が。
And they don't check that he's a civilian.
Oh, he is? I thought he was, I know he won all these amateur contests, but I thought that he was actually brought in by, Roy to join.
I think he was gonna make the pitch, but yeah, he's a civilian, you know.
Yeah, I mean, again, you put this next to Gundam, and Amuro is a civilian.
Yeah.
Or the Gundam remake, Gundam Seed, Kira is a civilian.
Yeah, but you would think, I mean, in Gundam they explained that he's the one the only person that can fly the Gundam, but he's just a guy in a ship.
That's only true for Kira. Kira's the only one who can pilot that because the fucking programming. Amuro just read the manual. Literally anybody could have done that. Okay, I guess you were right. To dead. Well, your character had a long run in the show. I appreciate that not one person is having any problem with the concept that we're fighting aliens right now.
Yeah. I mean, people know that the aliens exist. They don't know much about them because they know it's an alien ship, so.
Yeah, but these are actual, like, aliens are here with a fleet and everything. Not an alien ship crashed and no one was on board. That is a mystery. This is like real first contact. Yeah. If you don't count the Birdman incident that no one's gonna ever talk about, I assume. Crashed into the ground for all we cared. Not us, though. I mean, I didn't do my job very well. I would have to think that they've increased the armor on the jets since the last we saw.
Well, they did show that the armor, they had some special armor in the original.
You're talking about the reactive. I'm talking about the fact that they said that there was basically the jets were as armored as tanks. Yeah. Well, I guess technically a tank could probably fly through a building, but it just seemed like a lot.
わけもわからぬまま一条機は戦いの中に巻き込まれてゆく。戦火の中には運命の出会いが待っていた。林民明。この美少女が
Minmay, that's why she's familiar. I say, giving no context.
次回超時空要塞マクロスカウントダウン。
I think I've heard about this before too. The real-life shot with no explanation. That it ends every Macross episode.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've heard about this before. Oh, it was like something like the weirdest or worst endings. Or EDs for shows. Because this is weird being in real life, but also the backgrounds of the pictures are real with just pictures. of the
Yeah,
character.
it's art from the
Yeah, yeah, it
yeah.
just weird. But no, I've heard the name Minmay before, and I don't know fucking where. And her art is familiar.
Yeah.
And
Also a little bit spoilery as well.
why is that? Oh, you mean the pictures?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's been Minmay so far, and all I can really tell is she goes to the beach and she's a singer. And I already guessed singer.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that the one girl on screen so far that's not in the military would eventually be the one that sings, right? You gotta remember, we're like 30 years out from when this came, which means that we're trope savvy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started the war.
In a way, yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it's not in a way. I think we started the war. One, the
I mean,
Macross fired, and they seemed like, that's fine. That was just the thing we expected to be here. It didn't even seem like they were angry about it, which is funny. And then Captain goes crazy and orders an all-out attack. And then we fired on them again. Both
yeah.
times, as Rambo would say, we drew first blood. This was us.
Yeah. Which is going to be a thing. Considering also what happens in Zero is like, wouldn't you have learned the lessons not to try to attack things that are alien, you know? But I guess again, it's a prequel show that it's retroactive instead of
Yeah, not going to get referenced. I mean, not
yeah
once did they say, hail them, try to radio them,
yeah
something.
yeah.
Tight beam laser transmission. No, it's immediately, this is a trap. I'm going to base this on World War II Germany. You know?
Mhm.
Also
Also, I
funny
was
considering
I
it's
was wrong.
a
I
Japanese
was wrong on
show.
yeah. I was wrong on finding bodies because that's something I remembered from Robotech, but in Macross that's not
Yeah,
true.
no, I brought that up immediately when
Yeah,
they said there was nobody on board. I'm like, wait a second.
yeah. So yeah, but you do see why they made them transformable so they could fight on streets and stuff like that, right?
Well, I believe the conceit that I was, I don't remember where I got it from, was that these guys are giants or something.
Yes, they are
So,
giants.
so these things were made to be able to fight against these people hand to hand if need be, which is confusing because we saw our fighter craft and we saw their fighter craft and they seem to be the same size. If these
Well,
guys
we'll
are
see.
giants, you'd think that their fighter craft would be gigantic too.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also a matter of perspective, but yeah. Um,
Well, yeah.
we'll see in the next episode.
I mean, the archivist was clearly a lot shorter than the helmet guy. I forgot the guy's name down here. Do you really?
Yeah.
Clearly
Great
shorter
time.
than him, but I mean, even half as short, it's still way bigger than a human. If these guys are giants on the scale of say, I don't know, how big is say a Valkyrie or a VF1? I don't know what their names are right now. To
Oh, they
say a
showed it there.
Gundam.
Well, they showed that it
I mean,
was
in
taller
humanoid,
than us. Yeah, 2 stories,
but I mean,
two and a
I'm
half.
going to admit I don't know how tall 2 stories is in say meters.
I know in feet are well about over 20 feet, but not in meters.
Well, that would be still shorter than say meters are longer than feet, right? I'm correct on that
I believe so. Yes.
because the average Gundam is 18 meters, which means
Yeah.
that these things are smaller than a Gundam, and I'm used to seeing Gundams side by side with buildings.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means the aliens are smaller than Gundams too. I'm just using Gundam as my reference point here because again, I'm
Yeah.
what 5 or 6 series in on watching a bunch of Gundam
Hmm.
series on this channel.
Yeah.
Again, the biggest thing to me from this is that we started the war. That was
Yeah.
unexpected. I expected these guys to come down and just assault us out of nowhere, like surprise attack. Not literally one, we surprise attacked them by accident, and then we on purpose surprise attacked them because they didn't even seem to notice our ships were there. It's like, where did that come from? And then his screen comes up on our ships.
Yeah. I guess people are like, oh, we blew a couple of ships of theirs. Might as well just try to finish them off before something happens, right?
Yeah, there's
We're not gonna wait. We're not gonna wait for them to just kill us in retaliation. Might as well just attack.
there's no diplomacy now, I guess. I don't. I think I mentioned it before. Eon being one of my favorite books from Greg Bear, which describes World War III, and even in that, in the midst of all the war escalating to the point where it turns into a nuclear war, even in the book Eon, they go, and then the diplomats were on the phones, trying to talk back the escalation. And this, it's just like one guy, Captain Global, can just make anything happen. And I'm not gonna get over the fact his name is fucking Captain Global. So it's like
Yeah.
that rings. No, that rings of is American Gods with God. What's his name? Plays the dad in Back to the Future.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays Worldwide or something like that in American Gods. Captain Global. My problem is I came to this expecting him to be the elderly statesman, the man of composure or whatever.
But I don't think he actually ordered the attack. I think it's the Earth Security
He
Council. They mentioned them. Yeah.
he
He
launched. He
mentioned
ordered the launching of the fighters and everything, which then go into space and then attack them.
no. Well, the fighters that we see on the ground, they're in air combat. There's the different types of fighters that are in the arm carriers that attack the ships.
You know, I'm
The
gonna
two
watch this
sets.
a second time to get all my notes
Yeah.
down, so I'll,
Yeah.
I'll catch that then if I talked over
Yeah.
it, which is what tends to happen anyway, because
Yeah.
I don't
No.
know when
Yeah.
not to talk over it yet.
So the ships show up. The Macross or Macross shoots, destroys two of them. One the direct hit, and the other one by kind of energy speedish. Then they keep coming, right? It's like, oh, hey, we got attacked. That's not a big deal. Then they're like, oh, they're aliens, man. Let's launch everything that we have, right? And it's like, and then you have these two ships in space, the human ships. They launch fighters and missiles, destroy not by direct hit, but by near hits another alien ship, and they're like, oh, okay, so they what are these guys? I don't know, kill them, right? you know, and it's like, oh, and then they start analyzing and talking about, well, this ship doesn't really look like one of the Supervision Army, which is supposed to be their counterparts, right? People that were fighting, and which I have to go back to the whole Supervision Army thing and Centron.
The show
It's
hasn't said
complicated.
it yet. Don't explain it to me.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, oh, they modified them. Oh, well, how can they be? They're primitive. Oh, I guess we just can't bombard them from orbit. We gotta go down there and get the
Well,
ship
yeah,
if we
they
want the
said the
ship, right?
Macross looks like their technology. You mean these
Yeah,
primitives rebuilt the? It looks that way, sir.
yeah. It's
And
like,
explains their weapons, and then they say the reactionary technology or whatever it was called. It was an R
yeah,
word technology. And it's like,
yeah,
that's why I said, oh, that feels like something they're going to have to explain more on later. Because they're throwing out a bunch of stuff that's like, it's like means basically nothing for them. I'm like, this looks like a Peruvian artifact, and you and me being humans would know, oh, that means it's something old from Peru. But
yeah.
for an alien, be like, I don't know what 3 of those words meant. you know?
I
So,
mean, that's always the problem with science fiction. They start throwing up big names and numbers, and you're like, what's that? What? What?
well, no, I'm not
Like,
saying it's a problem. I'm just saying it's obvious what they know what they mean. Now I need them to interact with a human or something to say our point of view characters and say, what is that? What does that mean? Or, somebody from our side to call it something different so that I can in my head link, oh, this thing that this guy said is basically what this thing the other guy said.
yeah, I mean that's one of the themes of the show, discovering what it is. But because clearly you know that the humans rebuild the ship, but they don't really understand it, right? They don't have a control over it.
They don't
So
seem shocked that it had 2 giant, energy beams within it, so clearly they knew they could do that.
I mean, they knew that, but there's this program, and she's like, I want to turn it off. It's like, no, you can't do that. If they have full understanding with it, they wouldn't have it go automatically like that,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I just mean that clearly they knew that thing was there. Otherwise, I would have been like, why aren't the people on the streets fucking freaking out? Or clearly the people underneath that side where the cannon was were freaking out. But I was surprised that when it wide shotted and we got
Mhm.
that One Punch Man blew the mountainside open shot,
Yeah.
that the buildings and everything were still there. Like, somehow it avoided blowing out that part of the city. Well, I don't have any further thoughts right now. Again, I'm going to have to rewatch this to pick anything up. Do you have any like final thoughts?
I mean, I hope you enjoyed the first episode, which is pretty much how I remember it.
Very funny considering that we come from what felt like more serious Macross Zero, where everyone was like on the seats, on the edge of their seats with emotion, and then
Yeah.
here Captain bumps his head in walking in the doorway and then laughs about a trap. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's a very funny thing, but we're gonna get more of OG Macross than we ever did with Zero. So it's
Yeah.
just a transition I gotta get used to, like when we watched Gundam Origin and then went to OG Gundam. But yeah, that is us for today. Episode 1 of SDF Macross. We'll catch you next time. See you around. Bye bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?